Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to Let's Play What? No. Welcome back to my community show. So you ever have one of those days when you're like, I need content, but what is content? I just don't know. Content's not even a real thing. We all know that. Content's a lie. But anyway, so let's move on to, first of all, of course, naturally, our announcements for the day. So, in case you hadn't noticed, this week I debuted my uniform. Yes, this wasn't actually my originally intended uniform. Obviously the blazer was, but the shirt underneath I didn't. I actually had a different plan for a shirt, but then I realized I made the fatal error in my last community show of saying from now on this will be the uniform. So I'm like, oh, I have to wear this until I can explain. So in the next episode. But I do like this. This actually ended up, I really like the way it just kind of meshes with the shirt. Now, of course, pink and green, I did that backwards, is the channel colors. So, works. Anyway. Also, I just really love the combination of pink and green, The colors just work really well together. And I never really believed that because I don't like pink, but I've always been a big fan of green. And then when I started doing videos with my daughter, I would mesh the two colors and I'm like, wow, that is aesthetically pleasing. Yes. So hence the pink and green combination. It's pretty. I like it. It makes me feel pretty. Anyway, so this last week was a lot of Last of Us because, well, if you don't follow me on Twitter, at StepsBasic on Twitter there, if you don't follow me there, then you won't get any up-to-date announcements as to when I will be taking breaks, because unfortunately I don't have the community tab on this channel yet. Not till, 10,000 subscribers? And I'm not even 500 yet. But this was spring break for my kiddo, so I kind of took a light, easy week, basically half day, half days all week. I actually intended to go back to normal on Thursday, but then had to take my daughter to a doctor's appointment, and so I didn't really have time to get a second video ready. And then on Friday, yesterday, my brother had to get some medicine, so it's like, okay, I guess it's just gonna be all week then. But anyway, here we are. We did a lot of Last of Us this last week, and it was well, I'm gonna have a lot to talk about in my my final thoughts video, which will probably be coming up next week, actually. But apart from all that, I also intend to have a somewhat informal discussion with my buddy Bubble Ninja about it. He said he's itching for it, and I told him he used some powder and some cream and whatnot, but all he did was laugh when I said that. I don't know why. I think people think I'm making jokes. But anyway, that's all the announcements, really. Oh, wait, no, I have one extra. I can't talk about it specifically, but I actually got a code for a game. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. A developer game. Now, granted, I asked for it unintentionally. I saw something go by on Twitter saying, if you're interested in indie games and our content, indie horror games and are a content creator, then DM me. I'm like, what the heck, I'll DM. And I told them, hey, I like those things. And they're like, oh, what's your channel? I'm like, this. And they're like, oh, here, have a code. I'm like, whoa. And also, I'm on embargo until Tuesday, so I can't tell you what game it is or when or where. But it's interesting. I actually got something like that. Anyway, that's all of the announcements for today. Now on to the slightly odd topic for the day. Yes, if you've seen the title, I'm talking about swords today. Now, not swords from video games, not swords from movies or anything, but rather the swords that I own. And this is weird because a few of them have good stories to them, and a good number of them don't. And one of them's not a sword, and well, technically, 4 of them's not a sword. Whatever. And so it's mostly just the weapons that I keep in the house. And again, additionally, most of them are ornamental swords, not intended for use in combat or fighting. That actually sounded kind of musical. Thank you, Stutter, for making me a singer. Anyway, so let's get into this. First of all, I'm not going to go to the fancy ones yet. My favorite ones, I should say. But I'm going to tuck this thing in here. Here you go. hold that so I don't have to keep holding you. So let's start off with bed knife. TM. Yes, I know Markiplier already talked about his bed knife, but this is my bed knife. It's much more practical than his because it is just a survival knife. It's very nice, very effective at doing what it does. It's K-bar, obviously. You know, you want something effective, you want something good. You got to get your grip right and all that fun stuff. But this is my bed knife. I keep this tucked under my mattress, sticking out so I can grab it easily. Must have, as long as you know how to use it and you aren't going to stab yourself. Hopefully, if you have a bed knife, looking at you, all them folks who have bed knives, hopefully you have at least trained a little bit in knife combat. Because otherwise, if you bring a knife to a fight and you don't know how to use it, you're bringing your enemy a knife. Anyway, PSA aside, next we have cane sword. Now this doesn't work as either a cane or a sword. Now technically you could say, oh look at that, that's nice and comfortable. And then you start pushing on it, it's like, oh wow, this is a really awkward grip. So yeah, and so it's like got that, and unscrew, and we have ourselves cane sword. It's cute. I like it though. I mean, it is much more ornamental than it is effective at, well, either of its intended tasks. It definitely doesn't hide the fact that there's a sword in there. But yeah, this isn't too awful bad, but it is a really awkward grip with these wings in the way. But it's definitely an aesthetic purchase. Actually, this came from my brother, so he's the one who bought the aesthetics. Second of my utilitarian weapons is my beaten stick. Now, this is not, as you will notice, a sword. Like I said, at least 4 of them aren't swords, including bed knife and beaten stick. Now, this actually used to be a chain and flail mace, but cut that off. Now it's just got a hard metal tip, rivets down the side, and a very effective thwomp. Again, hopefully you're trained to use a beaten stick before you try to use a beaten stick. But at least this is a little bit better if you get it taken away from you. Because, you know, also it's got a nice handle. And a pommel. Cool. That's my beaten stick. I keep this in my couch. And when somebody knocks on the door, I'm just like, steal, bonk. Except I don't actually bonk them because I may be paranoid, but I'm not dumb. Now next, this one barely classifies as even an ornamental sword because aesthetically, I haven't touched this sword in forever. Because aesthetically, it's not even not very good, you know? Like, first of all, it's like, oh yeah, that looks kind of neat. And then you like, draw it. Ugh! There's no blade on it. I actually bought this for a costume one year. But there's no blade on it. And look at how that pommel is put together. Or that hilt guard is put together. Like, you can see through it. It's not even attached. It's not even welded together. It's like, who made this thing? If you want to know, I bought it at a Dragon's Den in Virginia Beach that no longer exists because it went out of business. Probably because of this. But for costume purposes, this was pretty effective. And I like it. Because even though it's just a costume, it's just for costumes, it looks the part and has a good weight to it. Also, the scabbard is it's a little tight, but that's my Gladius. Heavy quotation marks. Now this next one, another one that came from my brother. It's a ninja sword. Not very ninja-y, but it looks cool. And again, aesthetic purchase probably. Another one I haven't touched in forever. But it has a cool looking dragon on the end. Now, mind you, this hilt is incredibly hard to hold. It is very ridged. All the scales are freaking sharp and rough. But anyway, there is a tiny, but anyway, there we go. And just holding it like this is making my hand hurt because the scales on this thing. Terrible sword for anything other than decoration. But it also has a letter opener. Secret letter opener. Away! Oop, I think I put that in backwards. Yep, there we go. Oh, the weird things I do for content. But anyway, there's that sword. Again, not anything other than a fancy wall hanger. Which, you know, if you like wall hangers, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're buying things for utility, well, what are you getting a sword for? Get a bed knife and learn how to use it. On top of it all, I have another... Now, this one was a rescue. Talking about it like it's an animal. This one was a rescue. So the story behind this one is, and I just asked my brother because, you know, again, most of the weapons came from him, but the story behind this one is that at a Ren fair, my brother found this in the discount bin that had been stuck in there for basically the entire time, and then on the last day, the guy's like, yeah, you can just take that. Pretty neat little story, you know. A little cute little ornamental Chris knife there. Chris knife? Is that what they're called? I don't know. That's what they look like. But anyway, nice little serpentine blade. It's kind of cool. Got my brother sharpened it because, you know, he doesn't believe in not having sharp knives, and of course, most of these weapons were his originally, and yeah. But that one I keep on my shelf behind me. That's pretty neat, though. I like the. Did I put that in backwards? Sure did. There we go. That one was a rescue. My brother rescued it from somebody who was throwing it out. He liked it because it looked neat. But anyway, there you go. The other one that I keep up on my shelf, you may notice, is actually missing now because you can usually see it a little bit in the videos there, is another ornamental. It's a cute little I used to know these names, but then since my memory's been going so bad lately, I can't remember the names of the little ones. But this is a little dagger of Asian Oriental construct, and held by a skeletal hand. Because this one sits up on my shelf, obviously it accumulates dust as well. I need to dust more often in this room, I tell you what. The only thing that gets dusted anymore is my computer, my PlayStation. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I like this one. This one was another gift from my brother. And next we have, I want to say falchion. This sword is one of my favorites of what I've got. Again, my brother's gift, be a scimitar. I don't really know exactly, but my brother got this from a Renaissance fair of all places. He used to go to Ren fairs. I want to go to a Ren fair. It's been so freaking long since I got to go to one of those. But there is this guy. He is massive. I'm gonna say 2.5 to 3 feet. He's a fairly tall little boy, but still one of my favorites for appearance alone. Finally, the thing I spent way too much money on was a gift from my brother, for my brother, not from my brother this time. I know I've had these in a video before, but it is a samurai set of, first of all, the big boy. Bamboo handle, nice shine to the blade. I'm gonna keep it all shiny. We had a vendor come aboard the ship when I was in Greece, and I ordered this set, and I had it sent to my brother. You know, I also ordered a shield, which is hanging up in my living room with my family crest on it. But nice. And this one comes with a stand as well, which is over there. We got the big boa. We got the This guy doesn't get opened a lot, but we got the medium boy. I have gotten a little bit of training with the Boken, actually. The wooden one, the wooden variant. And then we have the little boy. But anyway, there we go. That is the extent of my sword collection. I have too many swords that I don't use, and I want to make a wall where I can, well, show them all. Because that would be cool. Most of these are, like I said, ornamental, and that's kind of the point of an ornamental sword, is to show it off. As it is, like, most of them are too heavy to be any practical use in a weapon, in a fight. The obvious exceptions being the beaten stick and bed knife. But the samurai set's actually kind of light, fits the proper weight of a sword. But the metal may not be the best type because, ornamental. Though, to be fair, a good enough swing on any sword will cause enough damage, and as long as it's sharpened properly, it'll still work, at least to some degree. But how often am I going to get in a sword fight these days? But anyway, this was a weird video, I know. I just felt like showing off my swords because I'd seen too many things this week about people talking about wanting swords and whatnot. So I'm like, hey, let's show them what they can do. But yeah, apart from all that, weird video aside, thank y'all so much for your continued support, especially over this last week, which has been just Last of Us Part 2. But hopefully next week I'll be getting into more stuff, and I'll be finishing up The Last of Us Part 2 and moving into some newer content and whatnot. And I really appreciate your continued support. Also, what sorts of swords do you have? Do you have any swords, blades, other than, kitchen knives? And let me know, and I'd like to hear about that. I think it's kind of interesting to see what people collect. I know swords are kind of seen in stupid light, as in, oh, it's so dirty, it's so nerdy, oh, it's so geeky. But, they still look cool. You can't deny the fact that the swords have an aesthetic appeal to them. But anyway, apart from all that, that's going to be it from me for today. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of The Community Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you are more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And when I can, if I can, you know all that jazz. And tune in next time, where we'll actually have a discussion topic. And until then, good night.